Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. So here we go again. It was 3 years ago, almost to the day, when we first started hearing about this mysterious virus coming out of a small city in western China. No one really took it seriously, but by March of 2021, just a few months later, the entire world had essentially been shut down. Millions died needlessly. Fast forward 3 years, COVID origins remains an open question that no one wants to talk about. The world has changed forever, whether we like it or not. The economy
heart.
Now there's a place America gets its news.
No agenda.
Just the facts.
Newsmax.
Real news for real people.
Good morning. Welcome back into Wake Up America. So here we go again. It was 3 years ago, almost to the day, when we first started hearing about this mysterious virus coming out of a small city in western China. No one really took it seriously, but by March of 2021, just a few months later, the entire world had essentially been shut down. Millions died needlessly. Fast forward 3 years, COVID origins remains an open question that no one wants to talk about. The world has changed forever, whether we like it or not. The economy still hasn't fully recovered, and it could be happening all over again. Maybe not COVID 2.0, but it's starting to feel a lot like it did in the fall of 2020. It's called the white lung virus, and it's being called another possible COVID. And guess what? It's coming out of China, and it's got all the classic hallmarks of another lab-produced virus meant to decimate populations. The difference this time around, it targets immunocompromised small children. For that reason alone, everyone should be listening very closely. For more on what's going on, let's welcome in internist at Custom Care Medical, Dr. Frank Contessessa. Dr. Frank, great to have you on this morning. They're calling it white lung. It comes from China. That should be a red flag for everybody right there. What do we know about this virus?
Well, good morning, Rob. It's great to be back with you. So let's just dissect a little bit here, because there have been reports of obviously what you're mentioning, this viral pneumonia out of China. But there are also news reports of rises in children's pneumonia here in the States as well, which looks to be something different called mycoplasma pneumonia. So there seem to be two different stories. What's coming out of China is concerning. And again, as you mentioned in the opening here, that there are echoes of what happened with COVID. We have a mysterious new thing. Now, China is saying it doesn't appear to be a novel virus, that it's something, the pneumonia there is being caused by pathogens that we're already familiar with, including mycoplasma. They actually mentioned that one. But we don't know, because the information coming out of China is always suspect. When it comes to what's going on here in the States, you know, we do see mycoplasma pneumonia. It's a well-known bacteria. It responds to antibiotics. It typically causes mild infection. So these cases are on the rise. I don't think people need to be too concerned about that. I'm much more concerned about what's coming out of China.
Okay, so just like in the fall of 2020, and then once we went through the holidays, you know, we first started seeing a lot more cases of COVID here in the U.S. Think New Orleans and New York City. Those were the first two big epicenters. The same thing's happening all over again. We're getting case numbers coming out of individual states. Ohio, Massachusetts, there's been a case in New Hampshire. You know, just a handful of cases, but that's exactly how COVID started. And look, I've got young kids. I know you do. And it's one of those things where people used to say in the early days of COVID, well, you know, the only good thing about COVID, if there is a silver lining, is that it doesn't seem to affect kids. This does affect kids. How concerned are you?
That's true, and I am concerned. The one silver lining that I see so far is that I haven't really seen reports of serious illness and death from what's been going on. And we were seeing that with COVID. Pretty early on, it looked like it was a severe illness and it was causing more morbidity and mortality. I haven't seen reports, and I've been scouring the news sites looking for reports of death on the rise, and I really don't see that. The cases are up, but I really don't see any serious illness out there, and this tends to be, at least mycoplasma, tends to be mild. What this new thing is, who knows? Yeah,
the World Health Organization has oddly been pretty quiet about this new virus. What do you make of that? Because they were so vocal in the early days of COVID and then throughout the pandemic.
Well, the World Health Organization about a week and a half ago made a request to China for more information. So China came back with some information saying that what they're detecting there in this outbreak are known pathogens. They mentioned mycoplasma, they mentioned RSV, they mentioned COVID, the flu. So, but again, that information is suspect. The World Health Organization, to me, have to take with a grain of salt because they were sort of behind the eight ball when it came to COVID. I think they were less than forthcoming. They kind of aligned themselves with whatever China said, the World Health Organization went along with.
Right.
So I think we have to be somewhat suspicious and take it what they say with a grain of salt as well.
And just like the Biden administration, compromised, to your point, when it comes to China. The administration says they are going to continue to monitor this virus, which doesn't, that doesn't help me sleep better at night. But this is going to be the first winter since COVID initially broke out over the winter of 2020 and then in the spring where we don't have basically restrictions and lockdowns nationwide. Do you think that could change as an overreaction to this?
I think it could. I think that the knee-jerk reactions of government tend to go overboard. I think, leaders want to be seen to be as doing something. So if this starts to become an issue, I think we could see that. Interestingly, I think that there's something to the theory that the lockdowns may have caused something like this, where people's immune systems are not as strong as they normally would be because we haven't been exposing ourselves. We went through 2 or 3 years where people were not going out in public, and especially children weren't going to school. Yeah. For a year, I wore an N95 mask with everybody when I was working in New York. Every patient came in with it, and I said, what am I doing to my own immune system? Because I'm a doctor, I'm exposed to pathogens constantly, and typically doctors, teachers get sick less. Because, you get exposed all the time. What happens when you don't expose? And that's a concern of mine.
Good point. I remember, Dr. Frank, when I was driving down the highway 2020, early in 2021, guy had no helmet on, right, but did have a mask on. And I was like, well, I think we're headed into uncharted territory.
He was protecting himself,
Dr. Frank,
Rob.
Yeah. We'll continue to monitor this. Appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
All right. Alex?